Welcome everyone. Today we're going to have a patch review of the upcoming patch for TFT, which will be happening on the Wednesday for American times. So this is the PowerPoint from the streamer called Moddog, and he's been presenting the PowerPoints of the updates to come. We'll look at the priority slides with the new units, the combinations, and a different type of nerfs and buffs to different units. This will help us plan for the patch to come, what builds to look for, and just be a little advantage against other players as we're going to ranked games or normal games. Have more fun as well. Now do keep in mind, the streamer did have his overlay just cutting some of the words, but it's still readable. For example, here you can see the 25, 45, 75 magic. So it's slight adjustment, but all credits goes to Moddog for making the PowerPoint to share with us the patch. So start off, we have the 2-cost unit, which is Senna. Senna is a 2-cost Shadowbound. What is your Shadowbound alliance? It is Senna and with our friend here, Lucian. Senna and Lucian are the Soulbound, and to be a Soulbound, when one of them dies, the other one stays alive. What that means is, so if Senna dies, Lucian stays alive, and Senna will become a ghost. All her items are still activated, and she still does damage. Until Lucian dies, both of them dies. If Lucian dies, Senna stays alive, and both of them, will still do damage, cast spells. And Senna is your form of a support shadow unit. This is additional shadow, which will affect how many shadows are found, because shadows are kind of strong at 4. So this will affect how many shadows are found. They will change in the shadow alliance or the synergies because of that. Keep in mind, Senna does have a very low HP base because for Soulbound, they die fast, and she has one of the lowest stats. Very low attack damage, so attack speed, pretty good mana, and her spell is Piercing Darkness. Senna fires a beam into the furthest ally, so if you position Senna in the corner and there's a unit in the other corner, and Senna will always aim for Lucian if she can, if there's available Lucian, and this beam will deal damage to the enemy, and also you will buff allies for unhit effects. This unhit effect is the additional damage in terms of magic for 25, 45, 75 for Senna, for buffing all the allies for 5 seconds. So if you have units that hit rapidly, like Lucian with his spells, and like Ash or someone who does rapid fire, it really benefits him and it goes pretty ham. Senna can use Morello, which is the debuff for minus healing and 20% pure damage. This buffs all the allies on the auto attack to have Morello effect. It's like giving everyone a red buff, if you think about it. So Senna's interesting, and she's a shadow. We're going to look into shadows changes after. Some might say it's a nerf, some might say it's a buff. The next part, we have the second new hero that's coming, which is a carry DPS ADC for the light team for Soulbound. Lucian is a 4-cost unit. Notice again, the trend is Lucian does have low HP than most of the 4-cost units. Pretty low armor, okay damage, attack speed is okay, mana is very low, which is great. He can cast multiple times. Now if anyone plays of League of Legends and knows Lucian, this is his ultimate, the calling. This does tremendous damage because it's 2 parts to it. One is a physical damage, one is a magical. So 10 here should be magical, then the attack per second is physical. So Lucian benefits from attack damage and spell damage. On top of that, he attacks multiple times over 4 seconds. It's a perfect Senna combination. And if you buff those two together, if one of them dies, say Lucian dies, Senna stays alive, and that means Lucian can keep fighting. So you can have one Soulbound that's really tanky, maybe with a Guardian Angel, the other one go full damage based, and preferably Lucian. And yeah, watch him wreck a lot of units. And if Senna has Morello, Lucian gets a red buff too. Actually, one thing on top of that, now that we have additional light unit, and also there will be a small buff to the light synergies, the lights are definitely coming back. To be easier to find as 3, 6 or even 9 light units with Dax, and having a better carry than Vayne in terms of Lucian, you can find as 2-star, a silver unit at 4 cost, it's really good. Next up, the highlight for the legendary unit, which is additional legendary unit for Inferno and Warden. Amumu is a very durable unit. Good HP, good armor, okay damage, okay attack speed. Mana is not that. Mana is actually not that low, actually. Mana is pretty high, so he does want to cast 1 spell at least. So, Amumu is a stunner. He uses his ultimate from League of Legends, which is AoE stun, and the range is as wide as the Tactic range for AoE protection. So he casts basically a circle in a wide area. Doing damage, yes, 150, 250, and 1337. Look at that. Pretty fun, right? And he does that much damage to AoE in terms of 2, 3, 4 hex. At 2-star level, at 3 hex, he covers almost 60% of the whole board. And he stuns everyone for 2 seconds. This is great, and this allows for 9 Infernos with lags. Also, being a Warden, you can go Tactic and Amumu. Everyone's stunned, getting Inferno Red, and you have the invulnerability. Because Tactic have a delay, so Amumu casts to stun them, Tactic comes into delay and comes invulnerability. That's about 5 seconds of, damage done with Inferno as well. And yeah, this is a great unit. Can't wait to use him in the games to come. We're going to be looking at some of the patch change with units nerf, units buff. So right away, we can see there's a bit of buff to Berserkers. The content creator here, Moddog, said, I think he's found the right team. He said they felt like the Berserkers needed more damage for 6 Berserkers to be beneficial. So getting out Berserkers 25 damage is decent, It's like, it's pretty much a B episode or more. So next to that, we buffing the lights the cloud a little bit, so it is 5% of all stages. It's much more beneficial to get to cloud. It's like 20% damage reduction, and enemy don't gain mana, which is really good. Next up, the big patch buffs. The electric's getting a buff. Tier 1, Tier 2, great buffs, and yeah, 30 and 50%. And fine electric builds are coming. The Olem, get the Volibear, get the Z, and Zap for days. The change to Inferno. Inferno used to trigger only on spell damage. Now Inferno triggers with spell damage and critical attack. And with the critical attack, it's pretty good for assassins like Diana, units that also critical attack. All units critical at 25%, so more chance to trigger. Damage-wise, we cannot see the final part over here. I think he happened to have blocked it. I think it's about 180-ish. So you can see the damage is reduced, but in the sense, they have increased the seconds. Let me try to explain this. Once they increase the seconds, they reduce the seconds of the damage that's ticked. So it's 80% over 5 seconds. Now it's 70% over 4 seconds. So what that means is you do damage more rapidly. Units don't have to stand in the hex or the cell for longer to do damage. This way you do more rapid damage. And to adjust for the lower damage, they also added having the benefits of more Inferno give you more range. So now if you cast a spell with 6 Infernos, you land 3 cells or 3 hexes of Inferno damage, which is great. Quicker damage and more cells. So 6 Inferno with Amumu is definitely possible. And how do you keep enemies in place? You stun them with Amumu, which is lovely benefits. We firstly look at the buffs, of course, then we'll look at the nerfs. So Light's getting a buff. Previously they said they nerfed it too much. From Moddog, he said the team said they felt they nerfed it too much. Now they bring it back for 5% more attack. This really benefits at 3 and 6 Light. 9 is pretty high, so they kept the 9 the same. Oceans, they felt it's too strong, and they nerfing the tier 2 Ocean for 5 mana and printing it back. It's okay, yeah, there's too many Ocean Mages, they're ridiculous, I know. I try to play Ocean Mages, never works. There's 5 other guys are playing Ocean Mages. I can't fan Brand, I can't fan any. I know, that's how I lose rankings as well. Otherwise I'll be Diamond right now. So, Rangers. The Rangers are getting attack speed buff, especially on the tier 2 Rangers. What this allows is, with the 4 Rangers is 80%, and tier 3 Rangers, the Golden Rangers, they got 2.5 times attack speed. So yeah, 6 pieces. They really want to bring some, variety, and it's a good path. I think if you have Rangers with Sinner and Lucian and more Rangers, this can work. See links and touches all Rangers, everyone does tremendous damage like Ash. Or even Twitch can do more damage. Poor Twitch, no one buys him. So, Shadow. Notice we said earlier that Sinner is getting she's a new Shadow unit, and this makes it too easy to find 4 Shadows. To adjust for that, Moddog said the team adjusted into 3 and 6 Shadows with higher damage, but the reset comes with later. So notice here, plus 70 damage is the standard for the first tier. Second tier, you need 6 of the Shadows. To have 6 of Shadows, you need Master E as well. So 6th tier will be the golden ticket for incredible Shadow build, but the downside is, to get to Master E, it's very difficult. Now it's massive damage boost. I believe right now it's 85%, now it's 140%. So very deadly late game shadow as well. Next up, we have the Summoners. The Summoners got a small change. So the change here is from 40% 100% to 30 and 120% for the health and duration. Really, they want to nerf the 3 Summoners and buff the 6 Summoners because they want to reward people for going for the golden ticket, for the golden alliance. And maybe it was getting too carried away with 3, so it's a good change, at least from my perspective. So it rewards people for committing, excuse me. And in other sense, that sometimes maybe 10% won't be that much of a factor, but sometimes it can help against a mighty Z, just something to help take the Z down, right? So next up, we have a bit of the item changes. First off, the team mod said the buffing the Giant Slayer a little bit by 1% because it was underused. And the biggest nerf comes into this one. Phantom Dancers now, they do not dodge or crits. Oh, that was so incredibly broken. Phantom Dancer now turns crits into normal damage. So what that means is, this item used to be superbly overpowered, now it's bring down massively. It's like triple S tier, now it's like B tier. From Mott and his team, they said the Phantom Dancer still blocks quite a bit of damage. If someone has Infinity Age and they hit you with Assassins, you still block about 60%, but other times you really reduce Assassin's damage by like 20 or 30%, I feel. That's what I feel. Now, the small changes with items appearing is reduced. It's down to 10%, and here a bit of changes re-enable a bunch of items drops again. So the ones you can't find is Thief's Gloves, Force of Nature, and Titanic Hydra over here for the Dragon Rift. Next up, the units. Oh, let's have a look at those. Hey Rainbow, good to see you, buddy. We're going through the patch that's to come in a few days for TFT. Firstly, they said the druids were too strong, and people were going egg roll druids, donkey roll druids, hyper rolling druids. They were too much. So they're nerfing them a little bit, especially at tier 2 and tier 4. So sizable nerfs here. And over here, the Maokai got a nerf as well. So you can see that the tier 2 and tier 3 are the ones that's nerfed. And on top of that, the Renekton was heavily used in multiple comps, and he got a nerf too for tier 2 and tier 3. Pretty lovely, because I was getting a little sick of the golden ones that appears in 4 or 5 rounds. The guy's like, I go in and I run everything. And the other two is like, oh, no. Now, Neko did get a small buff for 2 hex to 3 hex. I don't think that will change much. No one really runs for her anyways. People tend to run the what's her name? People used to run the assassin with the druids here. I literally forgot her name. Oh gosh. Getting old here. Yasu got a small buff. So they felt he was underused, and also Atrax got a small buff. Yes, it's Liberk. Thank you, Demontel. For some reason, I can't remember Liberk. So Yasu and the Blade Masters all got a small buff. Here, Atrax casts faster, Yasu got a damage buff. And if we go to the next page, we see another buff to the Blade Master. 5 more damage on Sylvia is not bad, because she's gonna balance the damage, and this goes higher. Next up, we have another buff to the Light. Shurika gets additional attack range. Oh, I just faced a 3-star Shurika with Rage Blade, and she was ridiculous. She ran towards me because she didn't have a range, so my Nani comboed her with my Master E. Now, she got an attack range buff. I'm getting scared of Lights now. Yeah, attack speed and attack range buff. Carry Shurika is back. Next up, Annie got a nerf. The bear seems to be overwhelmingly powerful, and I was cutting 3 units with a bear and Inferno. So HP nerf and armor nerf. If you think about armor, this is about 7% damage defense, or at least 5%. So it's a sizable nerf for the bear. And you don't need armor though, she just summoned a bear. Brand got a damage nerf. It is overall damage, and it's funny how they nerfed the Brand with his overall damage by 25, and they increase his damage by 200. It's like, hey, you work for the Brand? Let's take this, all the Brand. Next up, this is a big buff. Malphite as a Warden is getting a buff. So he's a Mountain Warden, and he got 25 and 100 damage increase. So at 2-star, a Malphite actually does same amount of damage as Brand in one of the fire cast. And 3-star he does 1000. So Golden Malphite with a Mage Cap can do double stam, and he can do tremendous damage, so keep that in mind. Yolik School got a change. I'm not sure why they did that, but they're like, hey, you go for 3-star Yolik, you get the 600 more HP. So nothing too special. The Running Man himself, the caster, the streamer I got the screenshot from mod, and his team said they felt whatever comp you're playing, you find Shinji to use him and you win. So they really want to stop that. To stop that, they had the damage reduction for 50 and 100 for early tiers, and no one gets to the last tier for 2000. So it's a nerf to Shinji. People will still run him with Morello because his base stats are there, and Morello's unaffected by the spell damage. He does pure damage, and no nerf to Morello. What that means is you can still run him with Morello, but it's less effective to run with Rabadon, so additional spell damage, because he loses pretty much 25% here. Tatik got a mana buff, and it's a buff to the Warden. So Amumu, they're preparing for Amumu, and they get a 25 mana quicker cast for Tatik, which is really crucial. 2-star, you want him to cast fast, because the whole thing takes 2 seconds to drop. You need to drop to have invulnerability. So yeah, Tatik is a good buff. Lots of Warden buffs here, with the mob fight, with a lot of good units. Lastly, Lux. The Lux got a mana reduction. That means she casts a little faster. And yes, she still does 10,000 damage if she gets the 3-star. And closely, she does a little more damage overall. So they're buffing the Lux. So more reason to go for the 6 or the golden tier. Notice Lux helped the golden tier, and this patch focused us to go to golden tier 4 or 6 alliance at least. 6 or 9 alliance sometimes. And this is it. So those are the important patch changes. There were some bug fix, some UI changes. So overall, what we can take from this is that notice predators are not nerfed. Notice you can still go Hyper Predator, which is very popular. The only thing nerfing by Predator is the Shinji with the late game Predator with the poison. Notice now the Wardens are a little more buffed, so people might run Wardens with Mages, Wardens with Ocean, Wardens with something else. And I like the buff to Inferno. I like the debuff to Inferno. People are going to go to the Lights. One thing to think about Light is that you can go 3 and 6 Light. You can make Vayne, or you can make someone a Blade Master with the the bow and the spatula. That can work as well, similar to making a the blender with Nocturne with this spatula and Blade Master. That works really well with the Gusto's Rage Blade, so keep that in mind. And lastly, oh my, the Blade Masters and Assassins, they want to quit. And here we're going to have Blade Master being buffed on the lower tier Blade Master, which tends to be weaker. On top of that, you can't dodge the Blade Master's quits with Phantom Dance anymore. So what's going to happen is 3 Blade Master with Assassins jumping, they one-shot your backline, they follow by your next part, and if you don't stop them, they kill everything. We'll likely want to see lots of Lights and a lot of Blade Master as well. So that's it for the summary of the patches to come. This is the pre-patch notes pretty much, released by ModDog and his team, and if you guys haven't seen him, definitely check him out. He does stream as well on Twitch, so all credits goes to him for sharing this before the patch to get us prepared. So lovely game. Thank you so much guys for watching this pre-patch review. If you like more guides, tips and builds and gameplays, definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll be posting more of them frequently, daily, multiple videos as well, builds, comps and guides. I'll also be streaming live at about 3 AM ETC on Twitch with Majestic Gaming. Feel free to say hi and drop a hello, that'd be so nice. Thank you everyone.